We did not grow up in Christian homes. We came to know the Lord as adults ourselves and began to have a great passion for children not growing up in Christian homes and outside of the church. So we began in an outreach in Paisley, Ontario, reaching out to unchurched kids. And through a process, the Lord led us to the First Nation Reserve outside of Southampton, Ontario, Saugeen, where for the past 20 years we have ministered there and ran a children's ministry weekly, inviting 3 weeks of the month. The kids would come, and on the fourth week, we would invite the whole family to come for dinner and reaching out to families in the community.
Mm-hmm. As well with partnering with the local Christian and Native community is vital to seeing something really take root and grow effective fruit that lasts.
Some of the children that grew up in the kids ministry would then turn around and become work alongside of us, minister alongside of us to the children.
In any ministry, it's about relationships. It's about not necessarily inviting people into your atmosphere, but you taking steps and putting yourself out there in other people's context and atmosphere. We continue to really try to live that out and make that a strong piece and focus of what we do here.
We also, we've always believed in raising up First Nation leaders, not us doing everything, but instead building into them. Most of the 20 years, we were pushing or pulling things along, but in the last few years, God began to really speak to us about taking more of a back seat and being more supportive. So our role is shifting and changing.
In the realms of reconciliation with our First Nations brothers and sisters, reconciliation is where two groups of people walk together, walk a road of togetherness. We learn from each other. That's a part of the healing journey on their part, and also on our part. The model of Jesus is always best.
A few years ago, we met a young man named Carmen Jones. He's from a neighboring First Nation community, Cape Croker, and he began an internship with Stan and I. And we've been just so encouraged to see his solidity of his faith and how he is reaching out into his community and really into other communities and around the world through an online prayer ministry that he's started and maintained throughout COVID.
For us, you kind of zeroing in on a target, but sometimes here the target's always moving on you. There doesn't seem to be a lot of movement in looking at the scriptures and seeing the faith of Jesus and the disciples as they lived it out in community together.
I would say there's been a really heavy emphasis over the years on evangelism, but discipleship is lacking.
Yeah.
So that is really a hard thing to get across, that it is so vital not to just see people accept Jesus, but to see them discipled and grow mature, because we have a lot of forward and back then with people.
People are hurting. They just had a young mom who overdosed, and it just throws the whole community into mourning and grief, where in our own context, we're saddened by that, but because they're so closely connected to each other, it really sends a heart of grief throughout the community.
Well, I think of a very good friend of mine that lost her oldest son to drug addiction. You know, we've walked a lot of years. We're very good friends. I'm amazed because of her resiliency and her strengths. You know, she's struggling at moments, which is totally understandable. And yet she is rooted and she is faithful and shares her faith. And as other young people in the community have passed away and in overdose related deaths as well, you know, she will go and minister to that family and share Jesus and share the love. And I've just been so encouraged by her faith.
Certainly with Carmen Jones, we really believe Carmen is called to his community. And as a core group that they have up there working together and putting on House of Prayer once a week, which we are involved with them. And they're seeing great things happen there.
In this new role, it's definitely reaching a new level of patience
Right.
and trust in God that He is going to to do what He says, irregardless of if a certain meeting happens or doesn't happen. Just trusting, and it's really difficult to take that backseat role when you're used to being on the front. But it's also learning a new place of rest
Mm.
in the Lord. That you're trying to fan into flame and to let let people grow and mature, and instead of stepping in and leading, letting them lead and being behind and kind of being their cheerleader.
Mhm.
It's just a different role, but it's also good. But definitely learning patience and just a new level of trust.
Mhm.